Developing right now on Morning News Now, whiteout. Tens of millions of Americans waking up to a major winter storm and what could be the heaviest snowfall in a decade. We have team coverage with the conditions, the warnings, and what to expect where you live. Also this morning, a show of support for New Orleans. President Biden set to visit the city nearly 1 week after that deadly terror attack on Bourbon Street. This as the FBI releases new information, including video recorded by the attacker himself in the city just weeks before.
Our agents are getting answers as to where he went, who he met with, and how those trips may or may not tie into his actions here in our city in New Orleans.
We'll have more on the president's visit, plus the latest on the investigation. Also more on the lives of the 14 people who were killed. Plus, drink at your own risk. That's the warning from the Surgeon General. Wants his message printed on alcohol beverage labels. We're going to break down a new report citing a link between alcohol consumption and cancer. And the winner is, that's right, award season is in full swing after last night's Golden Globes. More from the red carpet, plus the biggest winners, including some surprises. I know I couldn't stay up for the whole thing last night, so waking up this morning and hearing about some of those surprises, we'll break it down a little later this hour. Good to have you with us on this Monday. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is off. We begin with what the National Weather Service is calling a historic storm. This morning, 60 million Americans are waking up under a winter weather alert as that major storm moves east from the middle of the country to the East Coast. The wide-ranging system is already causing havoc in the heartland, with some places buried under more than a foot of snow. And take a look at this. Freezing rain and ice caused this semi-truck to jackknife in Park City, Kansas. Well, next door in Missouri, officials warn drivers to stay off the roads, calling driving impossible. In the skies, airports saw more than 6,000 flight delays and more than 1,500 cancellations yesterday alone. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman is tracking that winter wallop, but let's begin with NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa, who's in hard-hit Kansas City, Missouri. Maggie, good morning. So officials there said this could be one of the most significant storms that Casey has ever seen. Tell us, how are things looking right now?
Right. They are frozen solid, Joe. We're standing outside right now. I'll pick up my trusty thermometer here, sitting near this pile of snow. We have temperatures. You can see right around actual temperature, 6 degrees. The wind chill this morning around -4. And Joe, you're from the Midwest. You know, when you have a snowfall like this, like, you can plow all you want, you can shovel all you want, but when everything refreezes, that effectively is some of the most dangerous times to be out on the roads. Officials here told us this will take them days to clean up, clear out, and really try to get the roads safe enough for everyone, all commuters, to go back to work. You can see just how tall this snow is just next to this little side street that we're on, and it's level with the sidewalks. We're thinking, well, they plowed this. No, this is the actual snowfall that we saw just in 24 hours. I want to be clear. All of this started falling yesterday morning, and then it stopped basically by last night. So this was a rapid, heavy, really intense snowstorm, Joe, and it seems like these frozen temperatures, since they're staying around for days, as Michelle can point to, could really just keep things a bit more chaotic, I guess, for days to come.
Yeah, cities would need like giant road-sized ice scrapers to try and get underneath all of that, right, to get all of the stuff off the roads. It's not just the roads. The storm has also paralyzed air travel. Many people stranded after their flights were canceled over the weekend. Any idea when things could get back on track?
It doesn't seem like it's going to be today. We just checked FlightAware. More than 1,300 flights domestically have already been canceled just for today, including, that little car seems to be doing just fine. There you go. Including our flight back to Chicago. Our team, if our bosses could do earmuffs really quick, we booked 2. So we have 1 more remaining. It's a 50-50 shot if we'll get out of here today. But we had a Southwest Airlines flight out of here around 3 p.m. That was canceled last night. So you can see it's kind of that ripple effect that we see at airports across the country when something like this happens. Case in point, also, we talked to 2 pilots from Arizona who have been stranded here since Sunday, so since yesterday, and they think they'll be here for days to come. Here's part of what they had to say.
When I woke up and saw nothing but white across the ground, which was not the case last night, I knew we were in trouble.
How long do you think you'll be stuck here?
So they're saying until Tuesday. I take a look at the weather. We're hopefully maybe going to see a break in it tomorrow. That would be really nice. But Tuesday probably at the best.
Yeah, like you said, we hopefully could see a break in the weather tomorrow. But as we know, Joe, again, those flight delays, those disruptions, those can ripple on for several days. So it's really anyone's guess. Fingers crossed for us and for them. But as to when anyone can get out of here.
I was just going to say, I have my fingers crossed for you and your team. Okay, so you guys have experienced this. Now it's heading east. Are officials in the East Coast bracing for the same kind of headache?
They really are. I mean, our meteorologists and officials, federal, state, local, everyone saying that they could see something very similar to this in certain cities, especially D.C. They're expecting potentially up to a foot of snow. That's about what we got here in Kansas City. The governor of New Jersey declaring a state of emergency. A lot of federal buildings are closed. A lot of schools already closed. They were closed yesterday just in anticipation of this. You know, we were talking to a city manager here in Kansas City who actually used to live in Jersey, and we were asking him, you know, do you think the commute will be back to normal here in Kansas City for a while? And he said, I think people in the Midwest are pretty good at staying home, working remotely, going to school remotely when they have to. He said, I got to be honest, I'm more worried about my friends and family out on the East Coast. He said they're not as used to this. They try to kind of, you know, go to work, fight through it. And he said everybody really should stay home there as well, just kind of looking at how this thing is unfolding across the country, Joe.
All right, Maggie, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Good luck getting home. For a closer look at this monster winter storm, let's get your morning news now forecast. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman is standing by with that. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Yeah, this is a big one. It's large in size and really powerful. It has a lot of impacts with it. We have the snow where we saw Maggie, and we're going to see it into the mid-Atlantic. We're seeing that snow falling now. Also looking at a lot of ice in spots, especially in portions of southern Virginia, northern North Carolina. And we are looking at the chance for some severe to strong storms in the southeast. So right now, that number jumped to 64 million Americans under winter alerts. We're going to see that number kind of change back and forth throughout the morning. But we're looking at winter storm warnings, also winter weather advisories. And this is why. Radar showing us that, yes, we are seeing that snow falling where you see those lighter colors, the lighter blues, almost the whites. That's where the heaviest snow is falling. So we're looking from D.C. to southern New Jersey, like Maggie mentioned. Also southern Delaware seeing some really heavy snow throughout the day today. Lots of purple, too, showing up. That is the ice falling, and that is very dangerous. We're going to see the potential for power outages, and it's really cold for the eastern two-thirds of the nation. We're looking at temperatures well below normal, I mean 30 degrees below normal for this time of year. So for today, we're going to watch that storm move to the east. It's going to move off the mid-Atlantic coast later on today. But in the meantime, it's a tough morning commute. It's a tough evening commute. We're looking at freezing rain for the central Appalachians, heavy snow in northern Virginia, especially in the morning hours. And then tomorrow, it's plain cold with those winds gusting, especially over those lakes. So we're going to turn up those lake effect snow machines once again, and we will see snow falling. We're still seeing snow falling, really downfall of the Great Lakes as well today. Additional snowfall as we go throughout tonight. We could see snowfall rates of 1 to 3 inches per hour. And notice those brighter colors, the pinks, the purples in parts of Delaware, Maryland, southern New Jersey. That's where we're seeing the highest amounts. And usually those are the spots where we see lower amounts. We have that Atlantic Ocean influence, but not the case today. We're going to see up to a foot of snow in some spots there. We're worried about the ice. This is really particularly hard to travel in. Please stay home if you can, because it is almost nearly impossible to travel on ice. And again, we are worried about the chance for some power outages. With that, we have that cold weather in place. And on top of everything, on the warmer side of this system, we are looking at the chance for strong to severe storms in parts of the southeast. That includes Tallahassee, Daytona Beach, into Tampa. And we're seeing some really heavy rain falling, too, in parts of the southeast. Bitterly cold, that's another big weather story today. 47 million people waking up to some cold advisories from O'Neill down to Houston, New Orleans, and over to Jacksonville. Joe?
All right, Michelle, thank you so much. There's new information in the New Orleans terror attack that left 14 people dead on New Year's Day. The FBI revealed new details about the movements of Shamsuddin Jabbar prior to the attack.
Jabbar made at least 2 trips to New Orleans in the months prior to the attacks. One in October and the other a month later in November. During that time, Jabbar, using Meta glasses, recorded a video as he rode through the French Quarter on a bicycle.
The FBI shared clips that he recorded while wearing those Meta glasses around the French Quarter. The FBI blurred images of bystanders. Jabbar also wore the glasses during the New Year's Day attack, but the FBI says there's no indication the event was recorded or live streamed. Later today, President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are set to visit New Orleans. They'll meet with the grieving families and others impacted by this tragedy. NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley has more on the investigation, and senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez joins us with details on President Biden's visit to New Orleans today. Julia, let's start with you. Tell us more about what we learned from yesterday's news conference and the attackers' movements prior to the attack.
Well, Joe, you mentioned those meta glasses. We understand that Jabbar visited New Orleans on November 10th, rode through the French Quarter on his bike. They actually released the images of that video that he was able to record. They did, of course, blur the faces of those people, but really chilling to watch that as he scoped out the area. Also, new video of him placing those IEDs in the coolers we mentioned earlier. He's really standing by them for a long period of time, and that before he moves on. We were also able to learn and confirmed through my colleague Ken Delaney some details of recordings that he left behind that the FBI is also investigating, telling people that to his family that he did not spare them willingly, that he wanted to coordinate a celebration where they could witness the killing of the apostates, where everyone could witness the killing of the apostates. Someone who really is telling his family, look, I just went to this for a bigger sensation to get more attention. So really chilling new details that we're learning. Also confirming some of NBC's reporting, and that Jabbar traveled to Egypt and to Ontario in the summer of 2023. And again, going back to his own recordings, Jabbar's recordings, saying that he became a member of ISIS earlier this year. Joe.
Gabe, let's bring you in here. What can we expect today from the President and First Lady's visit to New Orleans?
Hi there, Joe. Good morning from a snowy White House North Lawn. Well, President Biden and the First Lady are expected to head to New Orleans a little later on today, and this will be probably his last trip, or potentially at least one of his last trips, as consoler-in-chief, that role that is so important to presidents, but also especially to President Biden, who has dealt with so much personal loss in his life. We expect him to meet with grieving families there in New Orleans, as well as local officials. You see video there of the growing makeshift memorial in and around Bourbon Street. And New Orleans, of course, is a city that has dealt with so much tragedy. Of course, President Bush eventually going there as consoler-in-chief after Hurricane Katrina. Also, President Obama after the BP oil spill several years after that. President Biden has been to New Orleans in a different capacity several months ago. In August was the last time he went, but never in this capacity where he's set to console grieving families. Now, he did speak about this tragedy last week from Camp David, saying that our nation grieves with you, and we expect him to reiterate that message later today. Joe.
And Julia, there are a couple big events still coming up in New Orleans. The city will host Mardi Gras in early March, and then before that, the Super Bowl is next month. So talk about how city officials are preparing as some of these security concerns grow. I mean, do they feel ready in light of this attack?
Well, they're moving forward, Joe, but I'm glad you mentioned those two events, because the way the city and the federal government handle those two events is so different. The Super Bowl, coming up in just a little over a month, is considered a Tier 1 event. That means DHS is in charge of security, and a Tier 1 event means that it has domestic and international importance, and that they would get extensive interagency coordination. That basically means all hands on deck. It's the same level you would see at a presidential inauguration. Mardi Gras, on the other hand, is largely handled locally. They can coordinate with the federal government, but it's similar to what you would have seen on New Year's Eve. And we've had some reporting here at NBC about how there wasn't enough use of the bollard system that they had. Those are steel beams that can come up to protect a driver like Jabbar from coming into a crowd. So the city is going to prepare differently this time in order to protect those coming to celebrate Mardi Gras. And they are moving forward, Joe, but it's something certainly to keep an eye on to see how mid-sized cities like New Orleans and others who host big celebrations have to change in light of this event.
All right, Julia and Gabe, thank you both. Appreciate it. 2 weeks from today, President-elect Donald Trump will be sworn in for his second term in the White House. But before that, he'll need to appear before a New York judge. This Friday, Mr. Trump will be sentenced on the 34 felony counts in his hush money case. But Judge Juan Merchan says Trump won't face any jail time. The judge denied Mr. Trump's bid to toss out his guilty verdict. He now says he'll continue with the sentencing on January 10th, just 10 days before Trump's inauguration. The president-elect was convicted in May of falsifying business records to conceal thousands of dollars in hush money payments that he made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. All of this part of an effort to try and sway the 2016 election. A spokesperson for the incoming president called the ruling a direct violation of the Supreme Court's immunity decision. For more, let's bring in NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard. He's near Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. Vaughn, good morning. So jail time was always a possibility, but legal experts consistently told us it was unlikely in this situation. So how did the judge come to this conclusion that Mr. Trump will not be going to prison?
Right, Joe, especially unlikely after Trump's November 5th election victory. That really put Judge Merchan, who's overseeing this case, on the spot, not only on whether he would actually sentence Donald Trump to jail time, which would likely not have taken place until 2029, but also whether he would toss the case altogether. And that is where Judge Merchan's ruling over the weekend was notable, because he said he will move forward with making formally Donald Trump a convicted felon by going forward with the sentencing 10 days before inauguration. Of course, it's this Friday is January 10th. And he indicated in his ruling that, number one, he will not sentence him to jail time. He said for obvious reasons, but also noting that he intends to give him unconditional discharge, which would effectively mean no substantive consequence at all, no fine, no probation. And so while Donald Trump will be handed down with this guilty verdict and ultimately walk into Inauguration Day likely being considered a convicted felon, he is not facing any actual punishment for the 34 felony counts that the jury in Lower Manhattan unanimously found him guilty of.
You know, Vaughn, let's talk about the optics of this for the incoming president. Do we know anything about how Mr. Trump might appear for this sentencing? And is there anything at this point he can do to avoid being sentenced before he is sworn in?
No, he was able to appeal. He and his legal team are going to be able to appeal the ultimate conviction, but that will come after the sentencing. Of course, you're looking at a timeline here in which Judge Merchan, even in his own ruling, noted that he had considered moving the sentencing to 2029 once Donald Trump were to leave office, but he said that that would obviously not be the most feasible option for the obvious reasons that the president-elect will soon be in the Oval Office here. But his legal team and Donald Trump have suggested that they will fight this as far as they can. They have successfully been able to quash the classified records case that was brought in Washington, D.C., as well as the January 6th election interference case, the federal case, and the Fulton County case is indefinitely on hold. But this is the one where they were unsuccessfully able to ultimately stop the case from not only the trial, but now the sentencing from taking place before Inauguration Day.
And Vaughn, before we let you go, the president-elect has invited some House Republicans to meet with him at Mar-a-Lago, near where you are. What's on the agenda?
Right. House Republicans are going to be coming down next weekend to come meet with him. It's notable here because you're looking for Donald Trump, who has suggested that overnight, actually, that he wants to put forward one big package of legislation to essentially be passed here in 2025. It's going to be incumbent upon these majorities in the Senate and the House, which Republicans have those majorities, to come together around this package, and one that he ultimately agrees with as well. And when you're looking at the House specifically, one of those groups that he's going to be inviting are the House Freedom Caucus, which is more of the conservative right-wing coalition in the Republican majority. And there's a situation this winter based off of the numbers where Republicans may have such a slim majority that they may not be able to lose one single Republican member defecting and voting no on their piece of legislation unless Democrats were to aid their efforts. So for Donald Trump, it is incumbent and essential for him to be able to get the full breadth of support from the Republican conference in Washington, D.C.
Truly a razor-thin majority. Vaughn, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Today is January 6th, which means later this afternoon, Congress will certify President-elect Trump's victory in the 2024 election, a day expected to look dramatically different from 4 years ago. This proceeding, normally a formality that's part of the peaceful transfer of power in our nation's democratic process, now serves as a reminder of the attack on the Capitol in 2021. Lawmakers will gather today to certify the victory of a presidential candidate who attempted to forcefully overturn the legitimate results of his defeat in the previous election. The Capitol riot led to the largest ever federal criminal probe with thousands of convictions, plus criminal charges against the president-elect himself, charges that, as Vaughn mentioned, have since been dismissed. While no mob or interruption is expected at today's proceeding, law enforcement is adding security. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins us now with more on this. Ryan, good morning. So here's the deal. Today, Vice President Kamala Harris is going to preside over this process that will officially mark her own defeat in the presidential election. That hasn't happened in more than 20 years since Al Gore. Many are still thinking about this deadly attack on the Capitol 4 years ago. So tell us what we should expect in this proceeding later today, especially with the history that really now looms over it.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, it is just, you can't understate just how different it's going to be this time around than it was 4 years ago. First of all, there's a major snowstorm here in Washington, D.C. That's going to impact the way that this process plays itself out. But there are no crowds lining up at the ellipse outside the White House. There is all kinds of security and fencing up around the Capitol complex to prevent any sort of protest spilling into the Capitol, to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. And then inside the halls of Congress, this is expected to be a relatively perfunctory process. Both the House and Senate will vote to certify the election results. There will be an opportunity to object. We don't expect any objections. And you're absolutely right. Vice President Kamala Harris, who ran for the top job, will be presiding over the Senate as they formally certify the election win for Donald Trump. Just a very different scene than what we saw here 4 years ago, where Donald Trump and his supporters refused to accept the results of the election and did everything they could to try and prevent that peaceful transfer of power. Joe.
And Ryan, as you mentioned, no violence expected, no objections expected. Still, law enforcement not taking any chances. Talk about some of the preps they're taking in advance of today.
Well, the most obvious thing that you can see around the Capitol right now is that fencing that surrounds the entire Capitol complex. 6 feet high. It's an unscalable fence. More than anything, the biggest remnant of the January 6th insurrection attempt. This is something that the Capitol Police now has at its ready to deploy whenever they think there could be a security threat. That fencing is expected to stay in place through the inauguration, so it will allow them that security posture through the inauguration itself. And then the process itself today is going to be a little bit different than it was 4 years ago. It's much more of a formality legally as well than it was 4 years ago, where the members of the Senate and House basically just have to say yes or no. There aren't the real opportunities to try and challenge the results of the election. That was put in place after what we saw take place here on January 6th. So it's just going to be a very dramatically different day here on Capitol Hill than it was 4 years ago.
All right, Ryan Nobles. Ryan, thank you so much. Today is the last day for people in Georgia to pay their respects to President Jimmy Carter as he lies in repose in his home state. 6 days of funeral observances began over the weekend, and visitation continues today at his presidential library at the Carter Center in Atlanta. Tomorrow, his family travels to Washington, where President Carter will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. NBC's Jay Gray has more on how his friends and neighbors in Georgia are remembering his impact.
Carried by the Secret Service agents who protected him for so long, President Carter's final trip mirrors his life's journey. Beginning in rural Georgia, where he spent 80 of his 100 years, passing the Methodist church where he married his beloved Rosalind, and the house the couple built in 1962, where they lived until their passing, leaving only twice for 4 years in the governor's mansion and 4 more in the White House. Hundreds lining the path of the motorcade to Atlanta.
We lost a great American and a great person today.
That honor and respect following Mr. Carter to his presidential library, where he lies in state, an honor guard standing watch around the clock as crowds continue to gather.
President Carter represented a lot of people, and we were very proud of him. We respected him.
Respect earned, his family says, not only for his political career and amazing humanitarian efforts across the globe, but by the way he lived his life every day for a century.
He not only cared about the nation and the good that he did, he cared about his neighbors next door. He always checked in on anybody in town. He'd send letters. So just how, for all the work he had to do, how personable he stayed with everybody.
Jimmy Carter, a man who stayed true to his faith and his Georgia roots while changing the world. Jay Gray, NBC News, Atlanta.
Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, think before you drink. The Surgeon General issuing a warning about the dangers of alcohol, why he says there is no safe level to consume. Up first, a violent weekend in the Middle East. A new round of Israeli airstrikes killing dozens on the Gaza Strip as ceasefire talks with Hamas continue. The latest when we come back. We're back with the latest from the conflict in the Middle East. Dozens of Israeli strikes hit the Gaza Strip over the weekend. The Gaza Health Ministry says at least 88 people were killed in the attacks, including several children. Despite the ongoing fighting, Israeli and Hamas officials have been holding ceasefire talks through mediators in Qatar, but the two sides continue to clash over the terms of a potential agreement. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest. Aaron, good morning. So what are you hearing, first of all, about these ceasefire talks?
Hey there, Joe. Well, a source with knowledge of the talks tells me that the sides are closer than they have ever been to a potential ceasefire. The source also noting that has been said many times in this prolonged process. The main issue on the table, the main point of contention, according to this official, is that Hamas has yet to supply Israel with a list of hostages that are living that they intend to release as part of this deal. Hamas is saying they need a week of calm in order to collect that information. Israel does not believe them, and so this impasse persists. This morning, there was a list of the names of 34 hostages circulating in various media reports online. The Prime Minister's office issuing a statement responding to those reports, saying, quote, the list of abductees published in the media was not passed on to Israel by Hamas, but was originally passed from Israel to intermediaries as early as July 2024. To date, Israel has not received any confirmation or comment from Hamas regarding the status of the abductees on the list. Now, the NSC's Brett McGurk is in Doha for these talks. According to this official, at this point, it is unclear when the Mossad chief, who typically participates in these high-level negotiations, will go to Doha. It depends on developments. The source said possibly today, possibly tomorrow. Joe.
You know, Aaron, the families of these Israeli hostages have endured such a roller coaster of emotions over the last 15 months. How are they reacting to these latest developments?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is terrifying for the families, Joe. They are outraged. They feel that the Israeli government has not done enough to prioritize the survival of the hostages. I was speaking to Rita Lifshitz, a hostage family member, and she was telling me that she feels that this process at this point is being manipulated by all these media leaks pointing to the name of 34 hostages, the list that was leaked out this morning and yesterday. Her father-in-law, 84-year-old Oded Lifshitz's name was on that list. Oded's thought to be still in Gaza. She also was railing at some of the videos being pushed out by Hamas, specifically the video of 19-year-old Liri al-Bag. She was the last hostage video to be released by Hamas. 19 years old. She appeared in the video in her military uniform, looking absolutely terrified. Rita Lifshitz tells me that it's those sorts of things that are appearing in the media that are terrifying these families. And she said that at this point, she's looking to President-elect Donald Trump to change the current dynamic. She believes that the inauguration of President Trump will make a difference in this process. Remember, the president-elect has said he wants to see the release of hostages prior to his inauguration on January 20th. Joe.
Right. Aaron McLaughlin in Tel Aviv. Aaron, thank you. More international headlines now. Ukraine has launched a surprise new offensive in Russia. NBC's Raf Sanchez joins us with that and other world headlines. Raf, good morning.
Joe, good morning. Ukraine launching this surprise new offensive in the Kursk region of Russia, where it last seized a toehold in Russian territory over the summer. Russian forces have called in help from North Korea in recent months as they've tried to retake the area. But now it's the Ukrainians who are once again on offense, though unclear how big or how sustained this operation will be. In South Korea, that standoff between law enforcement and the impeached president continues. Yoon Suk-yeol's bodyguards physically blocked investigators from South Korea's anti-corruption agency when they tried to detain him last week. The agency is now asking police to step in and take the president into custody. And finally, here in Britain, unusually heavy snow and rain causing travel chaos, with several airports suspending flights and some major highways closed. There have also been power cuts in areas of England and Wales. Despite that, tonight's soccer game between Liverpool and Manchester United is going ahead. And Joe, I have to say, having commuted in earlier here in London, it is looking pretty tame compared to what a lot of Americans are going through today.
Still, if you're not used to it, it can be troublesome, especially for the first time. All right, Raph, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Coming up, the highest honor for some of the biggest names in Hollywood, sports, and fashion. When we return, we're going to take you to Washington for a star-studded Medal of Freedom celebration. And New York City tackling traffic with tolls. More on the controversial plan that critics worry could be a model for other major cities. You're watching Morning News Now. Back now with the powerhouse list of icons who were awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom over the weekend. President Biden awarded the nation's highest civilian honor to a lineup that included Hollywood A-listers, fashion visionaries, and professional athletes. NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist has more on this exclusive list.
19 new recipients of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. A class of athletes, actors, politicos, scientists, and cultural icons.
You feed the hungry, you give hope to those who are hurting, and you craft the signs and sounds, our movements, and our memories.
A lengthy standing ovation for Hillary Clinton. The former First Lady, Senator, and Secretary of State applauded as the first major party female nominee for president. Biden also praising chef and humanitarian Jose Andres, his World Central Kitchen soldiering into war zones and communities devastated by natural disasters to help people in dire need. And a powerful moment with Michael J. Fox. Fighting the ravages of Parkinson's disease, the star of TV and film taking to the stage as an advocate for Parkinson's research and development.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to George W. Romney.
An emotional former Senator Mitt Romney accepting the honor for his father, a former Michigan governor and auto industry executive. President Biden also celebrating the basketball career, business acumen, and community activism of Magic Johnson. Magic helping Biden easily drape his medal despite their 9-inch height difference. And a suave Denzel Washington, lauded as one of the greatest actors of our time, marking the moment with a long embrace for Biden, who's bestowing his last round of medals just days before the end of his presidency.
And I'm grateful for the work you'll inspire for generations to follow.
Aaron Gilchrist, NBC News, Washington.
But that was quite the party afterward. All right, New York is now officially the first U.S. city to implement what's called congestion pricing. Despite lots of opposition, the controversial plan finally took effect yesterday at the stroke of midnight. Officials say the new toll should help alleviate traffic, but critics worry it's a costly price to pay and don't think it's going to change anything. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda takes a closer look at the debate and whether more American cities could follow suit.
The city known for its standstill traffic, greenlighting new tolls. 2, 1. That, if successful, could catch on across the country. Congestion pricing going into effect to access Manhattan's busiest neighborhoods. Most drivers now paying $9 during peak hours and $13.50 without Easy Pass.
Time wasted in traffic is a huge drag on our economy.
Officials say it will encourage more people to take public transit, cutting back on tens of thousands of cars daily and pollution. But reviews among residents across the tri-state are mixed.
For the tunnel plus the tolls, so that would be too much.
I think it's just a tax. It's not going to alleviate any congestion.
The toll will gradually increase, hitting $15 for most drivers by 2031, funding for public transit improvements in the city.
Could we see this policy catch fire? Could it spread?
Yes, places like Chicago and Los Angeles, which also have pretty severe traffic congestion, are watching to see what happens here in New York and may consider similar policies there.
While around the world, some cities have already embraced congestion pricing. Stockholm, Singapore, London. Though London is still considered the third most congested city in the world.
I'm proud to announce we have found a path.
New York's plan was reinstated after months of delays and a barrage of lawsuits. But the toll's biggest threat may be still to come. President-elect Trump has said he will terminate congestion pricing as New York puts the policy into drive. Emily Ikeda, NBC News, New York.
Coming up, a new warning from the Surgeon General that some doctors say is long overdue. Up next, the new report linking alcoholic beverages to cancer and the recommendation that could change what you see when you buy a drink. This is Morning News Now. We're back with a new recommendation from the U.S. Surgeon General about alcohol that is getting a lot of attention. In a new report released on Friday, Vivek Murthy suggested that alcoholic drinks should come with a warning label about how they can increase the risk of cancer. It's a move many doctors support after years of calling on the federal government to make the connection between alcohol and cancer clearer to the public. NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar joins us now with more on this. Dr. Azar, good to have you with us. We discussed this Saturday morning on the Today Show, but I know a lot of people have a lot of questions. Let's start with this report that was put out late last week and the evidence in it that links alcohol consumption to 7 different types of cancer. Talk about that and what types of cancer we're talking about here.
Yeah, so there was a lot, Joe, in that report, including that 100,000 cases per year of cancer are related to alcohol, 20,000 deaths per year related to alcohol. And specifically, yes, they outlined 7 different cancers that we know that there is evidence that they are related to alcohol use. And those include cancers of the mouth, the throat, the voice box or larynx, the esophagus, liver, colorectal cancers, and especially breast cancer. In fact, up to 16% of breast cancers are thought to be related directly to the use of alcohol, Joe.
So here's the thing. A recent report revealed 62% of U.S. adults drink alcohol. That's a lot of folks. How concerned should people be about this? What is sort of the best course of action, the best recommendations for how much we should be drinking?
Yeah. So, currently it's hard to say a safe amount, but the dietary guidelines of Americans basically say that moderate alcohol intake, which is defined as 1 drink a day for women and 2 drinks a day for men, is kind of considered what is the allowable amount, if you will. Here's the nuance there. As little as 1 or fewer drinks per day can increase the risk of breast as well as mouth and throat cancers. So it's a little bit, untrue or a fallacy to say that even if you drink moderately as a woman, that you're not increasing your risk. I think people need to put this into perspective. If you are drinking alcohol, there's no guarantee that you're going to get cancer. And I'm sure we all know people who don't drink who develop cancer. It is one of many risk factors for cancer development that include things like biology and family history, genetics, things that you can't necessarily change, and then a whole host of environmental things, behavioral things like diet, exercise, smoking, things that you can change. So the messaging here, Joe, really is not that alcohol automatically equals cancer. It means that it is one of those risk factors that is modifiable, but you can do something about to lower your risk of cancer if you're concerned about any cancer, but specifically those 7.
And I think one reason many people are having trouble sort of wrapping their heads around this is we see these other studies over the years that point to some of the potential health benefits of drinking moderate levels of alcohol. I think about red wine when it maybe comes to heart health. Mm-hmm. Talk about that research and how we should digest all of this.
Yeah, right. And so we talked about this on Saturday, too. I think we need to put to rest any concern or any issue or rebuttal of alcohol and its association with cancer. That's kind of in one box. You raise the issue of whether or not drinking in moderation, specifically red wine, could reduce cardiovascular risk. I would say that multiple studies over the last number of years have kind of debunked that myth. This was raised again a couple of weeks ago when the National Academy of Medicine medicine, did seem to, declare that there might be some benefit, again, to drinking moderate amounts of alcohol. But most experts who've weighed in have said that, study had some issues, and that the take home here is not that if you want to improve your cardiovascular health, you should begin drinking. I think most of us would think that the potential benefit of alcohol is probably related to some other healthy behaviors that those people engage in.
All right, Dr. Natalie Azar, as always, thank you so much. Now to some financial headlines. United Airlines passengers could soon have access to Starlink Wi-Fi on board. CNBC's Silvana Henao has that and some other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Good morning. Happy Monday to you. So United Airlines, it plans to start testing Elon Musk's Starlink for in-flight internet next month, and it expects to begin offering the service on a commercial flight this spring. Now, United plans to outfit its entire 2-cabin regional fleet and have its first Starlink-enabled plane on major routes by the end of the year. Starlink provides broadband internet service through a network of satellites. The Consumer Electronics Show is being held this week in Las Vegas, and Samsung is leading the way. It's expanding a push into, what else? AI, with a suite of enhancements to its premium TVs. The AI-powered screens will be able to search online for info about what's being displayed, such as identifying a product or an actor. They'll also be able to translate in real time and generate custom background images, as well as boost colors and optimize audio. And Amazon has licensed what it says is a documentary about former and future First Lady Melania Trump. The film is being directed by longtime Hollywood producer Brett Ratner, and production began last month. The doc is being done with Melania Trump's cooperation, and she will have an executive producer credit. Amazon says the project is expected to be released in the second half of this year, and it has both theatrical and streaming rights to the film, Joe.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much. We're just a few days into the new year, and a new generation is already upon us. The babies that were born this month are officially part of Generation Beta. They will be the first post-COVID generation and the first group to not know life without artificial intelligence. NBC News Digital reporter Maya Eaglin spoke to one expecting parent about some of his concerns for his kids.
These babies are among the first to be born in 2025.
You're just all the cuteness.
But this new year also brings a new generation.
Known as Generation Beta. Generation Beta.
Generation Beta.
My wife and I are expecting a baby May 30th of 2025.
How are you feeling about your baby being part of Generation Beta?
Oh, I think it's pretty exciting that, my child will be born in the second quarter of the century. And I wonder how advances in technology and culture will impact, his life.
Every generation has their defining moments and stereotypes. Baby boomers born in a wave after World War II lived through the Civil Rights Movement, Vietnam, and the Cold War, now entering their golden years. Gen X, the 65 million latchkey kids defined by MTV, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and rebellion. The millennials, growing up on a new thing called the internet, 9/11, and coming of age during the Great Recession, but often stereotyped as entitled. Gen Z, masters of social media, who experts say struggle with tradition, their formative years fractured by the pandemic. And Gen Alpha, still kids, some obsessed with skincare, some actually moving away from social media, but still introducing us all to terms like Skibbity Riz Ohio.
Skibbity Sigma with Riz in Ohio.
So what will it be for Gen Beta?
Because they're going to be completely different from previous generations.
Jason Dorsey is the president and lead researcher at the Center for Generational Kinetics.
They are the first generation that will come of age post-COVID.
And the AI boom could have a huge impact.
The key thing is they won't know a time before AI is integrated into everything. Whatever that immersive, highly personalized technology that they engage with the world, older generations will eventually adopt the same.
Dorsey says many Gen Betas will likely see the next century, which has its pros and cons, especially when it comes to climate change.
Gen Beta will face climate change in a way that no other previous generation has really had to deal with that.
These are things Evan Fisher has been thinking about, too.
I'm worried that there is a trend towards more nationalistic political sentiment. I worry that may, impact the world in which, these children will be raised. I also think that there's probably going to be a risk that climate change will really come to a head.
And how does that make you feel as a new parent, knowing that your child will likely be facing some of those challenges?
I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict what the future holds. I pray that I can give my child a home that they can grow and feel strong and, be resilient in the face of, challenges that they'll inevitably face throughout their life.
Maya Eaglin, NBC News.
Coming up, feeling golden. Last night's Golden Globe Awards setting the tone for the rest of the awards season. We're going to have all the big winners next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. The 82nd Golden Globes officially in the books. And this morning, Hollywood is buzzing over some potential Oscar previews and the familiar face who can finally call herself an award winner. For more, we're joined by television host and pop culture expert Andrew Freund. Andrew, good to have you with us. I don't know if you slept last night. If you did, you got almost no sleep. But we're glad.
Do you see the bags under my eyes, Joe?
No,
Do you see
I don't.
These bags,
you look
Joe?
great, Andrew. You look great. All right, let's just start off with the film side of things. Just sum up what we're seeing, because this is kind of a little bit of an unpredictable year. And, of course, the Globes give us the music comedy and the drama.
Yeah, Amelia Perez is really the big film winner of last night, winning 4 awards: Best Song, Supporting Actress, Foreign Film. And it was, it took home a lot of awards last night. And I'm actually really, really happy it did, because it is a fantastic film from Netflix. And so, the big film last night was definitely Amelia Perez.
And then also, though, The Brutalist is what won on the drama side. And I know that's really been building up the Oscar buzz, right?
Yes, because now that Adrian Brody won, obviously, for Best Actor Drama, and Brutalist won for Drama Film, we are going to see them at the Oscars. They are going to be a huge contender against Amelia Perez. And the Academy loves films like The Brutalist, even though it's 3 hours and 40 minutes long, Joe, which is a little bit long, but some people are saying it's brutally long. Get it? It's early in the morning. Yes, The Brutalist is going to be a huge Oscar contender.
3 hours, 40 minutes. My goodness. All right. Switching over to TV now. It was a big night for a few shows. That includes the FX saga Shogun. It did great at the Emmys. It did great last night. Talk about your biggest TV takeaways.
Yeah, Shogun won 4 awards, which was huge for Shogun, a hugely popular show on FX. Also, I'm really happy that Hacks won for comedy. I'm a huge fan of Hacks. And Gene Smart won, so those 2 shows definitely, took home a lot of awards.
Yeah, kind of not a big night for The Bear, which might have surprised some folks. All right, let's get to the moment that just has a lot of people talking. When we look at the acting awards, Demi Moore finally won her first major industry award for her role in The Substance. Her acceptance speech was fantastic. She talked about the doubt she felt working as an actress over the decades. Let's listen to a little bit of it here.
In those moments when we don't think we're smart enough or pretty enough or skinny enough or successful enough or basically just not enough, I had a woman say to me, "Just know you will never be enough. But you can know the value of your worth if you just put down the measuring stick."
Andrew, talk about just the reaction to her speech.
I mean, I almost wondered, did she know she was making the perfect soundbite when she was did she rehearse that? But yeah, I mean, it's incredible. She's had an over 4-decade career. She said 45 years. She's never won a major award, and she's never been able to give one of these kinds of speeches. She's never been able to have the opportunity. So I think that's why we saw it was so impassioned, because she was genuinely shocked and genuinely happy about it. Also, if you, I don't know if you've seen The Substance. It is phenomenal. It is my favorite film of last year. I don't know what that says about me, but it tackles ageism. It tackles all kinds of things that people go through. So she deserves that gold, Joe. She deserves it.
You are certainly not alone in that. You have to think that's going to build up the Oscar buzz for her. All right, let's talk about the host. Comedian Nikki Glaser made her debut as Globes MC. Did a little bit of roasting. How do you think she did? How's the reaction been?
It's interesting. I thought, personally, she did great, because I love her kind of humor. I love self-deprecation. I love her sarcasticness. And she went there. She roasted people. Now, some people are saying she didn't roast people enough, because, as you know, when Ricky Gervais hosted, he really went there. He went in hard. She avoided topics like Taylor Swift. She avoided topics like the whole Blake Lively situation. But in my book, you know, she had that Chalamet bit, which was great. I thought she was hilarious.
Yeah, I laughed out loud a few times. So I thought that is a hard job, and I thought she really did a good job overall. All right, we got like 30 seconds here, but just remind us, how much of a barometer are the Golden Globes for the Oscars with those nominations coming out, and I think it's just less than 2 weeks now?
Yeah, Oscar nominations come out on the 17th of January. They're a little bit of a barometer. You know, the Globes have 334 members, the Academy that votes for the Oscars, many more members, different membership, different bodies. You know, we also have the Critics' Choice Awards coming, the SAG Awards. So the Globes are a little indication, but not totally wholeheartedly.
All right, we will have to see what happens. Andrew Freund, I don't know, you probably still have a busy day ahead, but I hope you get some sleep at some point.
I'm going to bed, Joe. Good night.
Good night. Thank you so much. All right, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stick with us. The news continues right now. Good morning. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is off today. Right now on Morning News Now, winter blast. Tens of millions of Americans are under winter alerts as a major storm moves east. We'll let you know how your commute will be impacted and where the storm is heading next in your full forecast. Honoring the victims. President Biden heading to New Orleans today, days after that deadly terror attack during New Year's festivities on Bourbon Street. But we're now learning about the attacker and what the FBI says he did in the weeks leading up to the attack. Remembering the 39th president. State funeral events for former President Jimmy Carter continue today in Georgia. A look at the week ahead as Americans across the country pay tribute to the longest living president in U.S. history. And Party of the Year, the 82nd annual Golden Globe Awards kicked off awards season last night in Hollywood. We're going to break down more of the big winners. I'm also going to tell you about that huge night for Demi Moore and honor more than 4 decades in the making. Let's begin this morning with that monster storm that is impacting tens of millions of Americans. The system is already causing chaos on the roads in the Midwest. Now it's arriving on the East Coast, set to bring heavy snow, blizzard conditions, and cold temperatures to the region. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock kicks off our coverage from Washington, D.C., where the snow has been falling all morning.
Good morning. So D.C. is under that snow emergency, the first one since at least 2022, and it lasts at least through the end of the day tomorrow, as this is the most amount of snow D.C. has seen literally in years. You're looking over my shoulder right now. That's the National Mall. There are inches of snowfall that have already come down, and then you have the Washington Monument over my shoulder, a little bit difficult to see right now, given the visibility conditions. All federal offices are closed. All public schools in the D.C. area are closed as the amount of snowfall is expected to rise considerably by the end of the day. Overnight, a relentless winter storm snarling our nation's midsection, unleashing mayhem on the roads, particularly in states like Missouri and Kansas. Flexing a combination of whiteout snow, freezing rain, and thundersleep, creating a massive frozen ice land. The system even spawning the year's first tornado in Arkansas. More than 60 million Americans are under alert, and many schools already canceled from Philadelphia to D.C., which could see close to a foot of snow. Parts of the Midwest are already buried in almost 14 inches.
You can't even see down the dang street.
As more than 100,000 customers lost power Sunday. NBC's Maggie Vespa reporting from Kansas City.
This is going to be one of the most historic, significant storms that Kansas City has ever seen.
Plows working overtime as they face challenging travel conditions. Cars struggling to maintain control, and these tractor trailers couldn't help but collide.
This is every bit as much as driving on a skating rink.
This Kentucky squad car destroyed and a trooper inside injured after a driver crashed into him. While on the last day of the extended holiday season, the weather also paralyzing travel. Airports saw more than 6,000 flight delays and more than 1,500 cancellations Sunday, stranding passengers coast to coast. With St. Louis and Kansas City seeing between 60 and 90% of all flights canceled.
We're on the flight and we're just sitting at the tarmac for like an hour and a half, and they're like, airport's closed.
As for the travel picture at large, according to FlightAware and the Misery Map, you're looking at more than 1,300 cancellations already today, as you have 400 plus at DCA, 200 plus at BWI. Then you have some schools from Virginia to Maryland that are closed not just today, but tomorrow as well, as many families are going to be inside for the rest of the day. In D.C., Sam Brock, NBC News. Back to you.
All right, Sam, thank you. Let's get right to your morning news now. Weather. Michelle Grossman has a look at what's next with this storm. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. And it's going to be a long day for many of us because we are looking at snow falling in the morning, impacting your commute, and then impacting that evening commute as well. We're looking at 62 million Americans under winter alerts this morning, stretching from portions of the Midwest through the Ohio Valley into the Mid-Atlantic. And where you see that pink there, that is a winter storm warning. We're going to see a foot of snow in some spots, and we're also looking at a lot of icing. That is particularly dangerous to travel in. Radar showing us that we are looking at blue on the map. That is where the snow is falling. The lighter the blue, almost to that white color, is the heaviest snow. So you can see that falling throughout portions of the Mid-Atlantic. And then you see a lot of purple, too. That's where the ice is falling, and that's where we're going to see the potential for some power outages because it's moderate ice, especially in parts of southern Virginia into northern North Carolina. We're also looking at rain, heavy at times, throughout portions of the southeast, and could see some strong to severe storms in parts of the southeast as well. So there's a storm. It's going to move due east throughout the day. It's going to move off the Mid-Atlantic coast later on tonight. But in the meantime, we're looking at freezing rain for the central Appalachians, lots of snow for many in the Mid-Atlantic, heavy morning snow in the northern Virginia area. And then by tomorrow, it's off the coast, but that wind direction, it's going to be blustery, very, very cold. That's another big story on this Monday, really cold throughout the two-thirds eastern part of the nation. And we're looking at that lake effect wind machine to really pick up once again, the snow machine picking up once again. Additional snowfall, we're looking at the heaviest amounts in parts of Maryland, southern New Jersey, into the D.C. area. We could see snowfall rates up to 1.5 inches per hour. If you can work from home, that will probably be the best bet in those parts. And the ice accumulation, where you see that lighter pink, that is where we're expecting the highest amounts of ice. It is already really treacherous in portions of Virginia and also northern North Carolina through the mountains. We're also looking at the chance for some strong to severe storms. That's on the warmer side of this system. Lots of moisture to work with. Winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour. Could see an isolated tornado or two, so we're going to watch that very closely throughout this Monday, and then looking at the chance for hail. Not a big threat, but still it's not zero. Tallahassee, Daytona Beach, down to Tampa could see some strong to severe storms. The second big story that I was talking about, bitterly cold. We're looking at temperatures in the single digits. You factor the winds, it feels well below normal in some spots, especially throughout the northern plains. 47 million people impacted by cold advisories this morning throughout the central to southern plains into portions of the Gulf Coast states and the southeastern states. Where you see the pink, that's where we're looking at that alert. But frigid highs extend all the way to the northern plains. Today, high temperatures, 11 degrees in Miles City, Minneapolis, just 17 degrees. That's 7 degrees below normal. But it's cold, too, in the central plains, 17 in Wichita, so the teens there, and just 39 in Dallas. That cold air extends all the way to the Mid-Atlantic. So setting the stage for that snow and ice in portions of the Mid-Atlantic. Joe, today just 31 degrees in New York City, and that cold air is going to stay in place for a bit. Back to you.
All right, get used to it. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. Yeah. Turning to politics now, Congress set to convene this afternoon to certify the 2024 election exactly 4 years after the deadly attack on the Capitol. And with President-elect Trump returning to the White House in 2 weeks, Republicans in Congress now control both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins us from Washington with the very latest. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. And, you know, in most years, this election certification process is just more of a formality. But everything changed 4 years ago when Donald Trump supporters stormed the Capitol to try and prevent the peaceful transfer of power. This morning, security on the Hill is at its highest level. But today's vote is once again expected to be simple. Congress convenes in Washington this morning with a simple yet important job: certify the ballots from the Electoral College to officially pave the way for Donald Trump to once again be sworn into office on January 20th, with the president-elect's 2024 opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, presiding. Harris describing her role in a video message shared with NBC News.
The peaceful transfer of power is one of the most fundamental principles of American democracy. This duty is a sacred obligation. one I will uphold.
The certification will mark an important step in the GOP taking full control of power in Washington. In addition to Trump retaking the Oval Office, Republicans took back majorities in both the House and Senate last week, with House Speaker Mike Johnson narrowly holding on to the top job on the first ballot.
We have a mandate. People want an America First agenda.
And while today is expected to be uneventful, the remnants of the chaos and violence from 4 years ago, when over 140 officers were assaulted, remain. Heavy fencing lines the Capitol complex, and hundreds of Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol on that day have been convicted of their crimes. All of it led to changes in the certification process and increased security. President Biden, writing in a Washington Post op-ed overnight, that America, quote, cannot accept a repeat of what occurred 4 years ago, adding an unrelenting effort has been underway to rewrite, even erase the history of that day. We cannot allow the truth to be lost. Earlier, asked about his predecessor and soon-to-be successor.
I think what he did was a genuine threat to democracy. I'm hopeful that we're beyond that.
But Trump himself refuses to take any blame for that day and has even promised pardons for some of those convicted.
I'm going to be acting very quickly.
And while the process itself is not expected to be dramatic, there will still be some challenges. Federal government offices in D.C. are closed due to this major snowstorm that's socking the East Coast. And while Congress will convene as scheduled, it could impact the travel of members of Congress getting to Washington, although even if attendance is light, it shouldn't impact the actual certification. Joe.
All right, Ryan, thank you. There are new developments in the investigation into that deadly terror attack in New Orleans. The FBI revealed in a press conference that the attacker visited the city at least twice prior to the tragedy, and during those visits was wearing Meta Smart goggles. He recorded video of Bourbon Street with the goggles, an area where he would later kill 14 people, injuring several others. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch joins us now from New Orleans with the latest. Jesse, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Officials also now revealing that the man behind this attack made at least 2 visits to New Orleans in the months leading up to the deadly ramming incident. This as the mayor of New Orleans now admits she cannot say for certain if the city's Super Bowl safety plans are good enough.
This morning, mounting questions about New Orleans' ability to safely host the Super Bowl next month. The company which makes the new bollards being installed on Bourbon Street tells NBC News they can only stop a car going a maximum of 10 miles per hour. Some experts say the famous strip should have barriers that can stop a car going 3 times faster.
I have full confidence that the city of New Orleans not only is safe, we will continue to be safe.
But New Orleans' Mayor LaToya Cantrell now admits she cannot guarantee that Bourbon Street's new barriers can effectively protect Super Bowl crowds. And she's asking for a tactical expert to review the city's safety plans.
The thorough assessment that I'm asking for will determine if, in fact, they're strong enough.
Despite the uncertainty, Bourbon Street is open to partygoers. And last night, traffic was moving across at least some of its intersections. Meanwhile, we're learning more about the man behind the ramming attack. The FBI releasing this edited video they say Shamsuddin Jabbar recorded on one of at least 2 trips to New Orleans in the months before his deadly rampage. The FBI says he rode a bike through the city's French Quarter wearing smart glasses and at one point even looked at himself in a mirror to test them. Investigators also sharing these images of the attacker planting 2 explosive devices, adding that he traveled to Cairo, Egypt and Ontario, Canada in 2023.
Our agents are getting answers as to where he went, who he met with, and how those trips may or may not tie into his actions here in our city in New Orleans.
Please stand and join us in a moment of silence.
A moment of silence was held before the Buccaneers-Saints game in Tampa Bay Sunday to honor the victims, with the Saints players locking arms on the sideline. Among those killed, Edward Pettifer, the stepson of Prince William and Prince Harry's one-time nanny. And the family of Latasha Polk confirming her as the final victim to be identified.
We all love her. I wish she was back.
Meanwhile, President Biden and the First Lady are expected to visit New Orleans later today and visit with families affected by this tragedy. And this is coming as the mayor says that she plans to talk with the president about getting more federal resources and support for Mardi Gras, which will be just weeks after the Super Bowl being held in this city next month. Joe.
All right, Jesse, thank you so much. Mourners in his home state of Georgia are bidding their final farewell to President Jimmy Carter as he lies in repose at the Carter Center. 6 days of funeral observances began over the weekend, and visitation continues today at his presidential library in Atlanta. Tomorrow, the Carter family will travel to Washington, where lawmakers and the public will have another chance to pay their respects. For more, let's bring in NBC News correspondent Priya Sridhar in Atlanta. Priya, first of all, just what can we expect today in Georgia?
Good morning, Joe. Well, it's really been a beautiful several days of events here in Georgia honoring the former president's life and legacy. His final journey here to the Carter Center began on Saturday morning when his remains were escorted to his boyhood farm in Plains. And there, National Park Service workers rendered a salute and rang a historic bell 39 times in honor of his 39th presidency. Then his casket was put in a motorcade processional and brought here to Atlanta. And it was just incredible to see the number of people who lined that route to pay their respects. There was a brief stop at the Georgia State Capitol where, of course, the former president served as governor, and then made its way here to the Carter Center where there was a private funeral ceremony with his family members. We heard from his son Chip and his grandson Jason. As you can imagine, they were incredibly emotional. Let's take a listen to what Chip had to say about his father.
He was an amazing man. And he was held up and propped up and soothed by an amazing woman. And the two of them together changed the world. And it was an amazing thing to watch from so close.
And, Joe, we're hearing numbers from Carter Center staff today that already 10,000 mourners have passed through here to pay their respects. Tomorrow morning, there will be a final ceremony marking his final departure here from the Carter Center. He'll be brought to Dobbins Air Reserve Base, where his remains will then be flown to Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland, Joe.
Yeah, and let's look ahead to what happens in Washington. His national funeral service scheduled for Thursday at Washington National Cathedral. Talk about what other tribute events will be leading up to that and which ones are open to the public, since clearly so many people are interested in paying their respects.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. Well, after his casket lands at Andrews Air Force Base, there will be another motorcade processional that'll stop briefly at the Navy Memorial. And the plan right now is that then the casket will actually be transferred to a horse-drawn carriage and eventually be brought to the Capitol Rotunda, where he'll then lie in state. And members of both Congress and the public will be invited to pay their respects. That's until his national funeral service begins, which is at 10 a.m. on Thursday at Washington's National Cathedral. Of course, President Biden has declared that a day of mourning. He is expected to deliver the eulogy at that event, and we're also expecting President-elect Trump, Joe, to be in attendance.
And before we let you go, what do we know about plans for President Jimmy Carter's final resting place?
So this might not come as a surprise to many, Joe, but ultimately the former president's remains will be brought right back here to his home state of Georgia, and he's going to be buried alongside his beloved wife, Rosalind, who you're looking at right there, of 77 years, in their hometown of Plains, Georgia. Joe?
Together forever. All right, Priya, thank you so much for your reporting. Appreciate it. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, it was Hollywood's Party of the Year last night at the 82nd Golden Globes. We're going to break down the night's big winners. Up next, we are learning more about the death of the husband of actress Aubrey Plaza, what the medical examiner says caused the death of Hollywood director Jeff Baina. Stay with us. Back now with the shocking death of Hollywood director Jeff Baina. His collaborators and friends are sending heartfelt tributes to his family and to his wife, actress Aubrey Plaza. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us from L.A. with more on the investigation into his death. Liz, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Good morning to you. Yeah, Jeff Baina's family has not said anything publicly yet, and Aubrey Plaza did not attend the Golden Globes last night. She had previously been announced as a presenter. This comes as officials are revealing more about how the filmmaker died.
This morning, fans and friends mourning the loss of director and screenwriter Jeff Baina, husband of White Lotus and Parks and Rec star Aubrey Plaza. Hollywood remembering him at last night's Golden Globes.
Tonight, my heart is with Aubrey Plaza and Jeff's family.
According to the Los Angeles Medical Examiner's Office, the 47-year-old independent filmmaker was found dead at a Los Angeles home on Friday. Records listing his cause of death as suicide. Baina was known for co-writing the 2004 dark comedy I Heart Huckabees.
Well, you wouldn't want to miss out on the big picture, would you?
And directing the horror comedy Life After Beth, a 2014 film starring Plaza.
I've been looking all over for you. I want to go to flamingo class.
You mean flamenco?
In 2022, Baina gushed about his working relationship with his wife.
The opportunities to create together and do something creative where we're both fulfilled. It's like, how rare is that? And she's down and she's so talented. So I'm really lucky.
The couple had been together 13 years and married during the pandemic.
I'm the writer, director, producer, cinematographer.
Plaza opening up on their decision to marry here on Today.
It was our 10-year anniversary. We were like, we should do something special, you know? And I was like, why don't we just get married?
In September, Plaza spoke with Howard Stern about being married to the writer-director.
It also seems like you'd have an ally who really knows what you go through in terms of your career.
Yeah.
While often private, in a 2016 interview with Sundance TV, Baina talked in general about men managing mental health.
I just find it really interesting how guys deal with trauma and their emotions. The instinct is always to sort of just gloss over it and pretend like it didn't happen.
Following Baina's death, friends and colleagues sharing tributes to the filmmaker, including actress Molly Shannon and comedian and frequent collaborator Adam Pally, posting, "Jeff's virtue was telling you the way it was," adding, "May your memory be a blessing." And actress Selma Blair on Plaza's latest Instagram post writing, "No words can touch this painful time, only love and strength and support from everyone."
Aubrey Plaza has not yet said anything or posted anything as she deals with the shock of Baina's death. As for the cause, if you or someone you know is in crisis, you can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Joe.
Always an important reminder. We'll leave that number up there for a second. 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Liz Kreutz, thank you so much. Now to some international headlines. Hamas has reportedly told Reuters news agency that it has approved an Israeli list of 34 hostages to be exchanged in a possible ceasefire deal. NBC News correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us with that and more in our world headlines. Raf, good morning.
Joe, good morning. Yeah, new hope and new agony for the families of Israeli hostages this morning. That's following the leak of what Israel says was a list of 34 hostages it was demanding be released in the first stage of a deal. The list includes 2 Americans, but Israel says it has never received confirmation from Hamas that the people on the list would actually be freed or even that they're alive. North Korea has fired what the South says is a medium-range ballistic missile. The missile test took place as Secretary of State Antony Blinken was in Seoul on one of his final diplomatic trips. He said the firing underscored the need for allies to work together to deter Kim Jong-un's regime. And finally, a soccer-loving nun from Brazil is now believed to be the world's oldest person. Sister Ina Canabaro is nearly 117 years old, according to her family. She attributes her long life to her Catholic faith. Pretty amazing. And Joe, the record for the oldest person ever is held by a French woman who lived to, wait for it, 122 years old.
I have so many questions, and I can't even imagine living that long, but good for all of them. That nun looks absolutely fantastic, so congrats to her. Soccer, that's the key. Watch soccer. All right, Raf, thank you so much. Coming up, awards season now underway after last night's 82nd Golden Globes. We're going to break down the night's big winners and tell you why it was such a big night for actress Demi Moore. You are watching Morning News Now. Hollywood's awards season kicked off last night in Los Angeles with the biggest stars of film and TV gathering for the 82nd Golden Globe Awards. Our Kaylee Hartung was on the red carpet, has a wrap of the night's biggest moments.
The stars were shining brightly last night at the 82nd Golden Globes.
Emilia Perez.
Crime musical Emilia Perez, winning Best Film in 2 different categories, and Best Supporting Actress, a first for Zoe Saldana.
All that I have witnessed is just us showing up for each other and celebrating each other, and it's just so beautiful.
The Brutalist, about a Holocaust survivor's post-war immigrant experience, took the award for Best Drama Film and a Best Actor nod for Adrian Brody.
At the core of The Brutalist, it's really a story about the human capacity for creation.
Shogun. And it was a show-stopping night for TV drama Shogun, taking 4 Golden Globes, including Best Drama Series, and wins in 3 of the top acting categories.
This is very big present for me.
How do you process the impact that you see Shogun having on audiences?
Storytelling and acting is breaking the wall between the cultures.
Many of the night's winners, including Wicked director John Chu, reflecting on the impact art can have.
In a time when pessimism and cynicism sort of rule the planet right now, we can still make art that is a radical act of optimism.
But the night's standout speech delivered by Demi Moore.
This is the first time I've ever won anything as an actor.
Her role in The Substance, earning the 62-year-old the honor, as her family watched and celebrated her victory from home.
Today, I celebrate this as a marker of my wholeness and of the love that is driving me, and for the gift of doing something I love and being reminded that I do belong.
In the comedy category, it was all love for Hack star Jean Smart.
I never thought I'd be so happy to be called a hack.
While the Globe's first solo female host, Nikki Glazer, had some fun with the star-studded crowd.
Where is Timothée Chalamet? I love you, and can I just say, you have the most gorgeous eyelashes on your upper lip. I think this is just such a good look.
On the red carpet, the stars reveling in the unofficial kickoff to award season.
Describe the energy on the carpet tonight.
It's buzzing.
What makes this moment feel special?
There's been a lot of times where you get knocked down and it's been really hard, and to kind of embrace that ride.
And Kaylee joins us live now after what was perhaps a sleepless night. So Kaylee, some folks think the Golden Globes is a bit of a preview of the Oscars. So were there any big shakeups last night when it comes to the Oscars race?
Well, Joe, you heard that beautiful speech from Demi Moore, and the buzz in Hollywood right now is that she was the big winner of the night. Her acting comeback story is so compelling, it could be the type of moment that catapults her to being a very serious contender for an Oscar. Now, nomination voting for the Oscars starts Wednesday and ends next Sunday. The Golden Globes will definitely be fresh at the top of minds, don't you think?
Find out, most definitely. We'll find out who those nominees are in just under 2 weeks. Kaylee, thank you so much. This week will be a bittersweet one for our NBC News family. It is Today co-anchor Hoda Kotb's last week with the show. Hoda's final on-air broadcast is this Friday, but her incredible, loving legacy will be felt for years to come. NBC's Mark Barger gives us a look at her impact through the eyes of her co-hosts.
Hoda is officially the co-anchor of Today. Let's give her a round of applause.
It's an affection for Hoda Kotb.
People can't get enough of her.
That's only grown.
Oh, yeah, this is the cool crowd.
Over her 7 years on Today.
Go Dogs!
Hoda is loved by every single person on our crew, in the control room, the producers, every person on the plaza, everyone.
Years with Dateline prepared Hoda to tackle each morning's top stories.
Is there an ongoing search for others?
But away from Today's anchor desk,
Let's go check it out. Come on.
she's been just as much at home.
You got it, girl. What did it feel like today?
It's the Hoda effect. And there's just nothing in the world like it. And everybody feels it.
Because the source is genuine.
Do you feel strong?
When I think about Hoda, I really do think about her heart. That's who she is. That's what guides her.
And what makes it difficult
I'm so happy you came.
to pull her away from fans on the plaza.
And sometimes we're like, we got to run inside for our next segment. She's like, I'll be right there, just one more. I mean, she never stops.
You got a whole restart.
A warmth and sincerity felt one-on-one.
Hoda doesn't do interviews. She has conversations.
Often with people already in the public eye.
I had no idea, what you'd been through.
And they forget the cameras are there. And so they say things that they may not normally say. And that's magic.
But just as compelling, talking to people thrust into the spotlight.
Just 2 days after losing their loved ones, family members said they forgave the shooter.
And I forgive you.
How hard were those words? It wasn't hard at all.
When Hoda sat down with those folks who were connected to that massacre in the church in Charleston, that's a story that will always stay with me.
What sticks with Al Roker is a staff surprise his friend and colleague helped pull together.
The funny thing is, during my whole time in the hospital, I never cried. I cried that day because it really did mean the world.
Part of an impact felt in front of and behind the camera.
Hoda's always been able to take the work seriously without taking herself too seriously.
But some serious tears are in store Friday.
Nobody wants her to go. Nobody wants her to go.
It's the end of a unique chapter for today.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. I'm out.
But the start of a new one for Hoda Kotb.
We're proud of her, and we can't wait to see her fly.
Mark Barger, NBC News.
We look forward to celebrating her all week. Coming up, it has been more than a year since therapies for people living with sickle cell disease were approved by the FDA. When we come back, we're going to take a look at why only a handful of people out of the more than 100,000 with the disease are receiving this new treatment. Welcome back. It has been more than a year since the FDA approved the first gene therapies for patients with sickle cell disease that could potentially provide a cure. More than 100,000 Americans suffer from the debilitating condition, which causes blood cells to be misshapen. The abnormal shape then causes the cells to pile up in the blood vessels, which either slows or completely blocks blood flow. Here in the U.S., 9 out of every 10 sickle cell patients are Black, with many of them in line for the revolutionary new treatment. But a year later, just a few dozen patients have started receiving that treatment. NBC News Washington correspondent Yamiche Alcindor explains.
And this is the star of the day, huh? How are you this morning? I'm all right.
Some patients call what's about to begin in this Washington, D.C. hospital room a modern miracle. 19-year-old Hoda Manila is about to have millions of his bone marrow stem cells removed from his blood in the first major step of the new gene therapy treatment for sickle cell disease.
All right, we are rocking and rolling. You've begun.
In the coming months, lab technicians will genetically alter those stem cells. That should lead them to produce red blood cells that are less likely to sickle and cause the blockage of blood flow that can result in severe pain.
His stem cells are starting to go to the back.
After intensive chemotherapy to wipe out Wedham's old cells and make room in the bone marrow, a team at Children's National Hospital will reintroduce the cells to his bloodstream. Dr. David Jacobson, the hospital's chief of blood and marrow transplantation, says there's not been enough of these days.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Oh, my goodness. What a journey it's been to get to today.
I know. What's the holdup?
It really takes a lot of coordination of care. We have to make sure that there's a slot with the manufacturing company, and we have to, of course, make sure that the insurance authorizes the treatment.
The months-long treatment from Vertex Pharmaceuticals or Bluebird Bio costs around $2 to $3 million. It's resource-intensive for the limited number of hospitals authorized to deliver it, and it's dangerous enough to give some patients pause. Only several dozen people have begun the process nationwide since FDA approval last December. For Wedham, it could mean an end to near constant pain.
It's this really sharp pain that it feels like someone's jamming a knife in me.
And is the pain with sickle cell, is it pretty chronic? Is it almost every day?
Yes. It never really goes away.
Until now, the only cure was a stem cell transplant with a donor. That worked for Wedham's younger brother, Weckham, who was also born with sickle cell disease.
I can see his little hands are so swollen.
Yeah. Mom, Sylvia Manila, says antibodies in Wedham's bloodstream prevented the same cure for him.
I was ecstatic. I was like, God, you did this for me. How about my other son?
So you were really excited about the bone marrow transplant for Weckham.
Yes.
But knew that Wedham was not going to be able to get it. And that's hard.
It was hard. It was.
What does it feel like to be on the cusp of a second miracle? for your family?
I don't think I have the right words to explain it.
Wedham has seen his brother transform, but he's skeptical.
How worried are you that this might not work?
Maybe 60%.
Still, even with the life-threatening complications that may come,
everything's looking good.
If there's any chance of a less painful future, he says it's worth trying. Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News, Washington.
Nearly a quarter of women experience physical abuse from partners, and up to 90% of those women have had at least one concussion. Most don't get screened or diagnosed. The Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute at West Virginia University is working to treat domestic violence survivors for any brain injuries. NBC News Now anchor Kate Snow spoke with a survivor who's receiving treatment.
From high school football to the NFL, there are strict guidelines for head injuries.
Stop.
For survivors of domestic violence, there are not.
Domestic violence survivors do not have a concussion protocol. They don't have anybody to turn to who says, hey, I think I need to take you out for a while and then go back when it's safe. It's never safe for them. Good morning, Selena.
Good morning.
How are you?
Dr. Javier Cardenas runs the Concussion and Brain Injury Center at WVU's Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute. Selena Henry is one of his patients. She says she was in an abusive marriage for 11 years.
How many times do you think you might have been hit in the head?
I lost count.
One day, she says he attacked her in the bathroom.
I remember I tried to focus on my boys because I could hear them outside that door. And I still hear their voice today, crying, they were crying out, don't hurt mama. Sorry.
It makes me want to cry.
I still hear that sound today.
She took her boys and left him that day. Years later, while working as a victim advocate, she says she suffered multiple injuries after another woman's abuser attacked her. She knew something was wrong.
I would have some trouble with speech. My words would jumble at work. I kind of chalked it up to stress.
Should try to do.
Pull the other foot over.
Yeah, because we're going to go.
She was losing her balance, too. That's what led her to Dr. Cardenas, and finally, a diagnosis of traumatic brain injury.
Yeah, that left leg.
Now she receives vision therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy.
It was a relief to have a diagnosis, and for the first time in this whole process, I had hope. And I hadn't had that before.
Studies have found between 60 and 92% of women who've experienced domestic violence have had at least one TBI, and often they go undiagnosed. This program partners with domestic violence shelters to help them screen for brain injuries.
Anywhere a domestic violence survivor goes, there should be some sort of screening for concussion and brain injury.
Have you seen a change overall in yourself coming here?
Yes.
Physically?
Yes.
Not all the damage will go away, Dr. Cardenas says, but Selena will have a better quality of life.
When they have a domestic violence victim come into the hospital, I want them to go about it, their care, with the same dedication as they would if that person had a helmet and pads on when they were wheeled into the hospital.
Our thanks to Kate Snow for that report. That specialized program at WVU's Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute gives domestic violence patients priority access to treatments like float and light therapy to promote healing, as well as vision balance and physical therapy. Time now for some money news, and new Labor Department figures show millions of unemployed office workers still struggling to find jobs. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you. Yeah, so the U.S. economy has added more than 2 million jobs over the past year, but the unemployed are having a hard time rejoining the workforce. The Wall Street Journal says more than 7 million Americans are unemployed, meaning they don't have work but are trying to find it. About a quarter of those have been job hunting for at least 6 months. The Labor Department says it now takes people about half a year to find a job. That's a month longer than it did during the post-pandemic hiring boom in 2023. The pain is being felt in high-paying white-collar jobs as companies now have less need for new workers. Nippon Steel is accusing President Biden of exerting undue influence over its attempted $15 billion merger with U.S. Steel. Biden blocked the deal on Friday. Now, in a filing, 2 new lawsuits. Nippon Steel says Biden caused the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States to fail to conduct a good faith review process of the deal. Nippon says it's still confident it will close the transaction. And Roborock has a new vacuum with an arm that can pick up after you as it cleans your floors. The Chinese company is launching the device at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. The Saros Z70 has an articulating robot arm that can extend out to grab items like socks and garbage, but only items under 10 ounces. No details on price, but Roborock says the vacuum will ship by June.
10 ounces, so you can't
10 ounces, so there
pick
you go.
up that 20-pound bag of dog food.
Right,
All right,
exactly.
All right, Solana, thanks so much.
You got
Appreciate it. Now to one business headline setting a new precedent at U.S. airports. In a historic first-of-its-kind move, the U.S. Department of Transportation hit JetBlue Airlines with a $2 million fine last week for what it calls chronic lateness. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda has the details.
Flight delays are a headache just about every traveler has endured.
Your heart kind of sinks and you start to calculate, I'm losing money, I'm losing time, this vacation is precious anyway.
And now the Department of Transportation says it's had enough, hitting JetBlue with a $2 million fine.
This is pretty significant in the fact that the DOT has never penalized an airline for what it is calling chronic delays.
The unprecedented move comes after a DOT investigation found JetBlue operated 4 chronically delayed flights on the East Coast, arriving more than 30 minutes late, more than half the time, for at least 5 straight months. The fine, in part, will go towards compensating JetBlue passengers already impacted and those who see flight cancellations and lengthy delays in the year to come.
It's a stress and inconvenience. It should be compensated, definitely.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says the action puts the entire airline industry on notice as investigations into other companies for the same issue take off. All of this part of the Biden administration's broader crackdown on airlines amid record travel. But JetBlue says half of the blame lies with the U.S. government, urging the incoming administration to prioritize modernizing outdated ATC technology and addressing chronic air traffic controllers' staffing shortages.
We definitely know there are pain points, but there is no telling which pain points this new incoming administration is going to address.
Emily Ikeda, NBC News.
With the holiday shopping season now officially over, at least we hope, retailers are seeing an influx of returns. This morning, we're taking you inside the warehouse of one shipping company that's using robots to try and make these online returns faster and cheaper. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson shows us how the robots work.
It might look like something out of a sci-fi film set in the future. But these real-life Wallies are sending your unwanted items back to the past, back to the retailer they came from.
It is kind of Blade Runner-y in here.
Inside this massive facility for Happy Returns, a company owned by UPS, Chief Operating Officer Tim Fair says they're using new technology to tackle an old but growing problem. Some $890 billion a year in merchandise is returned, but on top of that expense is the costly process of getting all that stuff back.
Easy returns are challenging and expensive.
Some companies, like Optoro, are using AI to analyze giant piles of return clothes like this to determine if and how they can be put back on shelves. And here at Happy Returns, it's all about robots.
How much more efficient is this than a human doing it?
Yeah, so we doubled our productivity when we implemented this. So that's a radical advancement.
Here's how it works.
What do I do?
Okay, so you're going to start your return online.
You take your unwanted gift and drop it off unboxed at a Happy Return site, which could be inside an Ulta store, for example, and it gets shipped here. That's when the robots get to work.
And this is what workers are calling the dance floor. More than 100 automated robots pushing packages from retail to the warehouse in an attempt to revolutionize the way we think about returns.
Let's say you're returning an Everlane return. Okay. We would combine those items with your return with 10 or 15 other returns that came in that day from a bunch of different brands. That would go to a single container. The robot will take it to that retailer's shipping box, so an Everlane box. When that box is full, We'll put it on a pallet, and then once a week we'll ship all those items to everyone.
The robots fair says cut processing times down significantly, meaning that items can get to retailers and back on the shelf more quickly and cheaply. But do those savings come at a cost?
What about the guys and the girls who work here? And like, you know, am I looking at people that are going to have their jobs replaced as well?
Most of our employees are very excited. Essentially, we've made the job easier for them and allowed them to move away from more rote or challenging tasks into areas where they could add more value.
What does this look like 5-10 years from now?
We're looking at robots to unload the trucks. Okay. We're committed to this vision and kind of putting together our next round of plans right now.
A new technological revolution in the world of returns. Steve Patterson, NBC News, Valencia, California.
Looked like Steve was playing a high-tech version of Frogger there for a moment. All right, with the holidays now behind us, some of you might still need to figure out what to do with your Christmas tree in your home. Well, up next, we're going to take you to a Michigan farm that is offering an alternative way to discard those trees. We're going to show you how. We're back, and it's like Christmas all over again for football fans because the NFL playoffs are now set. 14 teams have earned their spots in the postseason after an epic day of matchups yesterday, including the Vikings-Lions on NBC Sunday Night Football with the NFC's top seed at stake. Stephanie Gosk is here at the highlights. We're doing this story even though my Vikings lost.
I'm really sorry about your Vikings, but you know what? If you are a football lover, this is the best time of year, isn't it? You know, it was not your typical Sunday night last night. You had the Lions and the Vikings game. It's the first ever in the regular season where you had teams that had 14 wins in the same division going at it. There was so much on the line. It was such a great game.
In an unprecedented winner-take-all Sunday night football matchup. An incredible game for Detroit Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs, who scored a team record 4 touchdowns.
We work hard every week, but it's paid off.
Detroit clinching the NFC's #1 seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs, taking down the Minnesota Vikings 31-9, earning a week off and division bragging rights.
Everybody did their part to a T, and you see the results of it.
That seismic showdown wasn't the only game with major playoff implications. Both the Tampa Bay Bucks and Denver Broncos clinching the final 2 spots in the postseason with their victories. And now the playoff field is officially set, with 14 teams ready to make a run at history.
We battled and we got the job done, but the job is undone. You know what I mean?
That job, winning next month's Super Bowl in New Orleans, something Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs are attempting to do for a record-setting 3rd straight year.
I think right now the entire team is playing, lights out.
Standing in their way, the Buffalo Bills and MVP contender Josh Allen.
Just a lot of guys that are selfless, that care about their jobs, and just want to play football to the best of their ability.
The high-powered Baltimore Ravens and resurgent L.A. Chargers are ready too.
He's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow.
Also hoping to hoist the Lombardi Trophy, a host of NFC contenders, including the L.A. Rams, Green Bay Packers, and Philadelphia Eagles, led by 2,000-yard rusher Saquon Barkley.
Our mindset is to finish the season off strong and try to accomplish what we want to accomplish as a team.
Another big moment from Week 18, Aaron Rodgers threw his 500th touchdown in what might be the last game of his career.
Kansas City is attempting to become the first team in the Super Bowl era to win 3 straight rings. The championship game is a little over a month away. February 9th, the Superdome in New Orleans. There are some of us who might want to see somebody else win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, I don't want to name names, but...
Vikings, perhaps? I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, it's possible.
All right. Stephanie, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Finally this hour, as the holidays come to a close and all those decorations come down, well, one farm in Michigan is offering a free alternative to recycle those discarded Christmas trees by feeding them to the goats. Reporter Ken Kolker from our NBC affiliate in Grand Rapids spoke to the farm's owner.
In Grand Rapids, you could take the discarded evergreens for free to the typical drop-off site like Riverside Park, or drag them to the curb for pickup, but that'll cost you. Or perhaps the option that could be considered the greatest of all time, the goat.
Do you have a favorite? Is there like a goat among goats?
That guy.
Greatest of all time?
That's fancy. What's up, buddy?
Fields Farm in Comstock Park is accepting tasty Tannenbaums to feed to its goats, whose 4 stomachs allow them to digest the prickly pines. It's the 4th year the farm on Booth Avenue has accepted trees. They'll take them as long as they are stripped of decorations, including tinsel. Their 8 goats consume a tree a day, so they'll last a while.
We probably had 150 trees come in last year, and that's more than they can eat.
As the owner of a tree service,
by the end of the day, it'll be nothing but just sticks.
Brett Fields mulches up the leftovers.
It's a treat for them, and the other cool thing is it's actually beneficial where it's a natural dewormer, so it's good for them, and they love it. It's great, and it helps the community, so it's convenient.
Surprising detail at the end there for Fancy. All right, our thanks to Ken Kolker for that report. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.